Hey, welcome back everybody. Today I'm looking at the pixel head that I'd done a couple frames on previously. Been trying to find the time to do this. I did sit down on it for a little while the other day and do an outline, as you can see here. One thing I hadn't touched on so far is that this coloring, if we have a zero value black, is going to cause a problem in our upload process for Grail Classic specifically. So what I've got here is actually a black outline color that's not quite 00, is just a little bit offset. So that's important to remember. Some programs will default you back to the closest color, and it's very comfortable to have it 00 like this. Oops, I should be looking at my eyes. But most of these values here are going to be, just a little bit off. I mean, technically I could probably get away with, 1 or 0.1 value in there, but it's okay. I just manually set it to a dark black color. All right, so basically I've got around the majority of these points I'd covered in the previous episode when we're talking about the way that the curve is on the side of the head or around this section here. We go from a larger number of pixels across to a smaller number, and then there's a smaller number still here, and then there's actually turned a corner. So this is technically okay. We have 3, and then there's 1, and then there's a large number again. And basically those make rounded nice curves. Here I've got the nose is hinted at. It's actually kind of in combination with the black outline and the white beard color. So it makes it a little bit pronounced there. So if we zoom all the way out, I mean, it's not going to be quite that far when it's actually in the game, but we can get a pretty good picture of what it's going to look like when I actually upload this. Okay, so there's one more little spot that I want to touch here before we get into populating the other head areas, and that's this right here. So if I zoom out quite a ways, you can see that there's that one single pixel that stands way out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give it a friend. I'm going to go to the hairdo level. I'm going to grab a gray. I'm going to punch that in there, and then I'm going to go back to my outline, which I've got all my black coloring on, except my eyes, of course. And then I'm going to kind of fatten that up a little bit. So what that's going to do is it's going to prevent that eye-catching single pixel at a far range, like at a long distance. So actually I should probably be triggering this to 1. And even then, 1 is actually a little bit much. Let's go to 200%. 200% is I find it's a more accurate view of what you're going to see in the game. Okay, so we've got a pretty good outline there. I think I'm actually going to remove the pointed corner on here as well. Originally I was thinking about having a little pointed corner going on where this kind of made it a little bit more prominent. But I'm going to remove that as well. So I will, I'm on the outline layer. I'm going to just remove that one single pixel. And here's an option where in the previous one over here, it really stuck out that we had that, it stuck out rather than we had that 1 pixel. Whereas here, because we have that gradual incline and the corner of it, it's actually going to look proper here. That when we zoom out, that there's a single pixel pointing down. Cool, okay. Great, so I have my basics for my head. I've got a side view and a front-facing view. Now what? So I'm going to basically take all these values here, or sorry, these layers, and these layers I'm going to merge. Merge like there's no tomorrow. So I'm going to merge this one down, merge this one down, and all of the visible layers basically I'm going to merge down into one single value. Okay, I think foreground is also, foreground was my pink, I believe. Maybe I'll leave that one for now. So I have hairdo. Let's just make this head graphic. Okay, and then BG. I have my dark background, so you can see what that looks like. I got the head template here. And the head template is going to be super important. I'm going to remove the head foreground for now. And I'm going to work with just these guys here. So first piece is I'm going to look at all the places where I can basically just take this side view and duplicate them into other cells and other sections of the graphic here. So I'm going to copy paste that, and I'm going to move it up. I can see that based on this line down here, I have a single pixel that's touching that line. I can easily flip this graphic and identify where it should be. Looks good to me. We've got 1 pixel to the left and the right. We have 2. That's the same as the opposite of the previous one. And I'm going to bring this up to my left facing cell. So in the left facing cell now we have the same image, it's just reversed. Okay, if you wanted to do something like a scar on one eye or something like that, you can easily go into that frame and edit that there. I'm going to take the same image again, I'm going to paste that in, I'm going to bring it down to the next one. So here we have a head on the side. I'm going to flip that back the way that it was, and then I'm going to use Shift R for rotate. So rotate is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to take those pixels that you have. Oh, I'm going to move my layers out of the way because I can't do anything else. And I'm going to do exactly 90 degrees on this. 90. So it's now facing up. I'm going to do rotate. And sometimes with rotate, depends on the program again. Sometimes it will try and do some funny shading stuff, but in this particular scenario, it hasn't done that. So I'm going to take that up. And I'm going to essentially want to just paste these in before coming in and doing any like editing on them. I'm going to take another one. I'm going to flip it the other way. And you guessed it, we're going to take it down to the next one, which is right here. Again, I'm going to be looking for that 2 pixels on the bottom. The back of the head has a 2 pixel gap, and it should be touching on both sides here. Okay, so ideally I want to make sure that these are going to fit. The other thing that I'm going to be doing probably later is coming over and drawing over the eyes and potentially the mouth. I might do some unhappy face on there. Okay, I'm going to take this, or not necessarily unhappy, but it could be something related to the push-pull graphic. I just need to pinch that down one pixel lower there. Okay, paste that, flip it. I'm going to do Control Flip for horizontal flip. I'm going to move this down, and my guideline on this is going to be the top of the head. It should probably match up with the top of my hair, so I'm going to do one higher than that. Okay, same thing again here. I'm looking at, probably going to look at doing a closed eyes, maybe a frowny or an effort face, like he's pulling or pushing. I'm going to take the same graphic again, put it in this one here. And this is actually quite a tight frame, this one here. It's just as tight as this initial frame here that we had. The thing that I'm avoiding in this particular scenario is actually the back of the head, because the back of the head is going to be pretty tricky. I will have to put one in, but it's going to be a little bit different than the rest of this image. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing again here. I got another opportunity to use that same graphic. That's a lot of copy-paste stuff here. And then I'm going to zip back up and take the side ones. And take that down. This one I can get away with doing a flip in this direction. Oh, I need to bring it back one up. And that looks good. 2 pixels on the right, 1 pixel on the left. I'm going to do another one down here. Same thing. Flip it back the other way, because you can see in the head template, like if I'm looking at this particular frame in the head template, I can see that it's facing to the right. And he's got his nose and his eye on the right hand side. So I want to make sure that those are matching. Okay. From there, I'm starting to look at the damage frames, and the damage frames are going to be a little bit trickier. I'm not going to want to just copy paste those. Okay, and then I have my back of my head, and I'm going to do 2 separate individual frames for the back of the head. So the hard part about that is going to be getting my shading involved, but let's give it a shot. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste this one and move it up. And essentially what we're going to be looking to do is create a convincing back of that same graphic. So I can see that I've got those grays and those whites that are kind of slapped in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up another filter here, or another layer. Hair. And I'm going to throw in, basically I'm just gonna flood the gray. So I'm going to go back to my head graphic layer. I'm going to flood this gray color through here. Let's actually size up the brush a little bit. I'm going to go up to 4. And I'm going to basically take all of this color here that was facial color and everything else, and I might as well do it halfway across. And I'm going to just paste it through like that. I think the other thing that I'm going to do to make it a little bit more realistic is get rid of that white right there and leave it like that. So I'm going to basically wind up copying half of it on one side and making it symmetrical, which is absolutely fine. I'm going to take these black ones, I'm going to go back down to pixel 1 brush, and I'm going to make a couple of edits on my outline here so that you can kind of see where those dreads come down. And now I'm going to put in a couple of more white ones. Oops. I'm on my hair, but I'm not on my hair. I'm going to take my white and go back up here and come in and just sketch it in. I got one coming in like that right there. It's going to get a little fatter and a little skinnier. That's okay. We'll clean it up in a minute with the shading. We can also look at putting in another gray one. And I think the other thing I'm going to do here is remove some of this. I'm going to go back down to my graphic layer. I'm going to make a shortcut here. I'm going to take both of these now. So I'm going to like throw in the shading for the white, and then I'm also going to go back and grab the shading color for the dark, so that when I'm working over here, I can pick those up. Okay, for shading color for the dark one, I'll come in like that. And that's right up the middle. You can see that this is the exact half of the graphic. And what I'm going to do is check if I can get away with removing this for now and just focus on those 3 pieces there that we've got. I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, so I'm going to come up in here. I have my dark shading, I have my light shading, and I have my light and dark colors. So I can go through and kind of texture these guys up a little bit. Basically, by the time I get down to the bottom of these darker colors, it's going to be, or the darker hair, it's all going to be shaded. So I'm going to use it liberally here. The lighter one, I'm going to try and give it a little bit of texture up at the top here so it kind of blends in. And gives it a little bit more of an effect where the other dread is kind of like sitting on top. I think up here I will also throw in a little bit. And then down here, looking good. Okay, and I'm going to use the same for the gray. I'm going to give it a bit more texture up in here. Try and avoid banding if I can, but I'm getting those vertical lines going on. It's not so bad, but not ideal. Okay, avoid it there too. I'm basically trying to just give this a little bit of character. Gonna remove that one and see what's underneath. That was a good call. It's actually gray up there. Okay, so now I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see what I can do on the other side. Paste it, flip it, move it across. It's not looking half bad. I'm pretty happy with that. The one thing I'm noticing is that this is not quite symmetrical for some reason, which is okay, but let's eliminate that if we can. Oh, I see why that happened. It's because I've got the color, yeah, the color's not symmetrical because I grabbed a couple extra pieces. Whoops, let's go back, flip, flip, flip. I'm going to have to reselect that and take it just from the half, and that'll fix that problem. Oh, that is not going to be symmetrical down there either. Jeez, guys, what am I doing today? Okay. Gonna put one more black one, leave that one down there, and keep a couple black ones across the bottom here. Make sure that's right. That is right. Notice that I'm omitting a cell here. Like I've got a one section here. It's going to create a little bit of scraggly looking hair at the bottom. And then the other one over here is fine. Gonna go for selector, grab the selection, copy paste, flip, try it again, and here we are. Okay, how does that look from the back? Looks decent. I think it probably could be better when we're looking at the top section. I want to get rid of that kind of rectangle there, I think. But I do like the effect that this is giving of the kind of shading effect that's going on here. So what I'll do is I will remove my shading on this and on this side as well. And now it's going to give more of like, this is the back of his head. You can see the line on the back of his head going across, basically. I'm also going to remove it up here just to double down on that a little bit. Try and make it really apparent that we're looking at the back of his head and it's got some depth to it here. I'll eliminate a couple more pixels up here, and that'll make all the difference. It's looking good. We're going to leave those ones up there, though. I'm going to leave this because it's related to the... Oh, just one more. I can't stop myself here. It's going to be related to the effect of having a flat surface on the top of his head. And in the previous image, I mean, it wasn't as prominent, but I like where that's going. I'm going to take head graphic. I'm going to erase 2 cells here, and I'm going to, again, take that and make it very apparent that he's got the banana bangs going on that we'd worked so hard on the previous. I think the other thing I'm going to do, oh, I have to go back to my hair layer, is emphasize this a little bit more. And now we're going to zoom out and see how that looks. Looking pretty good. I mean, at 200% is, again, like I said, probably where you're going to imagine it a little bit more in the game. I think I would like to emphasize one a little bit right on the side here. So I'm going to zoom in and touch that up quickly and then get moving on this. Because we got a couple of background ones, or back facing, like away from the camera facing image pieces. Frames, yeah, frames. Okay, so I'm going to up this one here. Take it up. Let's see about making it a little bit chubbier. And I'm also going to steal a couple of pixels from this one down here. Okay, and then I'm going to take, we have that white shading. So again, the whole thing at the bottom basically is going to be shaded in. I'd like to consider it to be rather dark. Up here, I'm going to use the shading for a different purpose, which is kind of trying to get this image blended into the other existing color here. And does it look good if it connects? He's kind of starting to look like a little bit like a watermelon. I also don't like the sharp edge on that. Okay, so I'm going to keep that one. To look at my jaggies here again. This is what's killing it. Is that I'm looking at where I want it to sit, and I should be looking at how many pixels up and how many pixels down I got. Okay, so I'm going to take these ones that are white. Okay, so he's got a multitude up here, then it's got 2, 2, 2, 3. Yeah, that's the wrong way to go. So 2, 3, 2, 2. Let's pop 1. I'm going to put 1 lighter color in there and have a look at it. Zoom out a little bit. I got a... yeah, I'm going to have to shade that in right here. And I'll bring that down, and I'm going to take the white ones and pop a couple of white pixels in there, and I think that's going to do it. It's still looking really straight across. Okay. So this whole thing is going to have to come down then. I'm going to shortcut the whole thing. I'm going to basically take this darker color over here, come down on this side, down here, down here, and I'm going to take the shading color and do the same thing on here, just black it out. And the shading for the white, again, the white at the bottom is all white, or all shaded rather. And then I'm going to put in a couple of these darker cells up here rather. See how that looks. Much better. But I think I'm going to go for a smooth shading instead of trying to get it to be like a textured thing. Because I'm trying to accomplish 2 tasks by only 2 colors here, which is really unfortunate. I'm looking at having the shading, but I'm also looking at the texture of the object. So I'm going to just try and get it to be just the shading for this particular piece. And zoom out. Much better. Looking good. The only thing I'm not really super happy about is the straight across at the top here. So I'm going to take again that darker color and kind of round this corner a bit. Let's see if I can improve it. And I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm zooming in and zooming out, guys. So I got 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. I need to back that off. There, looks good. Happy with that. I'm also going to eliminate this one over here. Started being a really simple edit, and now I'm doing the whole thing. And I'm also going to take the shading, might as well. In for a penny, in for a pound here, guys. Taking all the shading out, changing the whole way it looks. There we go. You know what? Good enough. Good enough, good enough. Actually, oh. So again, we're doing the same mistake. Okay, I'm gonna fatten this one up. And grab the dark shade. Cover it a little bit. Looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to copy paste it and flip it over to the other side too. So again, I'm using minimal colors here. If you want to get into real detail, you can really go, you know, absolutely mad with the number of colors or the number of textures or details that you add. But I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm almost tempted to put another layer of dark stuff at the bottom, Or the other thing I can do would be to eliminate some of this texture up here, which I think I will do, basically to make it into one solid darker color at the bottom, which will pronounce the shape of the back of the head even more. Give it a little bit of a 3D or like a 2.5D effect. I'm always harping on that. Okay, so right up to there. Looking good. Going to take the dark on this side up as well. Just to pronounce it. And I think when we're getting up to this point up here, we're starting to have like light effect from the front of the head and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave it like that, copy it one last time here, and we'll call it good and copy it into the other images, or the other frames rather. Okay, that's looking good. Yeah, see now it looks like there's that shape to his head. I think it's actually a little bit too pronounced. Let's bump that up. Oh, and can I get away with doing it? Oh yeah, I can. I can do it manually. Great, okay, done, call it. So he looks pretty super shaggy. Looks like it matches the front pretty well, so I'm happy with that. I think what I'm going to do is merge this down. And now we have one head graphic again. So I'm going to take that frame, that top frame, use the guide on the background there. I'm going to take it down to the bottom, where I have some images that I have a back of a head. So this one's the back of the head. I'm going to use that right in there, slap it in there. And I mean, it is a little bit bulky. My hair and everything is a little bit wild. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to this stuff. You could, again, add extra detail. You could change it. You could make it, you could make it pretty and give it highlights and all that kind of good stuff. But what are we gonna do? Okay, so that's the forward facing, or the away from camera facing image for the image related damage. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the template. We're going to be doing the facial expressions. I think I will leave that for one final episode on this graphic. In the meantime here, you guys can see I've got all of my frames filled in. I think what I will do actually is I will use that same frame for the lower ones as well, for the damage images. And then from there I will probably drastically edit these ones. These ones will get a little bit heavier of an edit. And then, of course, there is the downward facing I'm dead look. So for that one, we're going to do one more flip here, or one more rotate. So I've pasted this. I'm going to move it down. Oh, I'm not going to move it down. That was my head graphic layer. Whoops, did the wrong thing there. Copy paste. Copy pastes, and then I'm going to do Shift R. Again, I'm going to shift it 90 degrees. So he's facing down, hit rotate, and there you go. And we'll keep it right there. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I did some hair shading and some copy paste work. Basically, have populated this. I'm pretty happy with the back of the head. Looks nice. It's got an interesting texture. I like how the white dreads stand out at 100% or 200%. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.